Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hello, you're listening to the podcast. So there I was. This is episode number 141. We're here, you're there, clear as hot.
Right? Holy cow, this is a jaw-dropping episode, man. Hey, who are our sponsors this week?
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for the segue. We're sponsored tonight by HSI Wealth Management and HelloFresh.
We are indeed grateful to have both of those sponsors on board, bringing great stories like this to you. And man, when I say great stories, buckle up, brothers and sisters. Do it.
Right.
Oh, out of the gate with the tease that we got back to, but oh my.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Hey, a couple other quick ones I need to talk to you about here, Fig. We've had some other people lose their minds and give us money. Paul Mertz, I'm going to call him Ethel. Call sign Ethel. For those of you who I Love Lucy will know what that means. Yeah.
Yes.
$100 donations from Ethel Mertz.
Thank you, Ethel.
Indeed. Thank you. Absolutely. Hey, Steve Bates has been with us for quite a while now through direct donations at donorbox.org. On our website, actually, you go to sothereIwas.us and click Donate Now. He's just clearing $100 this month. So Thank you very much to that. Yeah, he's been with us a while. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you to everybody. Oh, and Donut. Donut is a $30 a month donor now. So we are deeply grateful for that. And, and Kirby Sims is a new Patreon pilot. So that's our thank yous. But just real quickly, let me tell you, this is a guy who was told the Air Force is down the hall, right, Fig?
Right.
Air Force down the hall.
Great story. Great story.
And he was a Marine helicopter pilot who found himself at the highest levels of our government, in the deepest crisis management this nation's ever faced.
Yeah. What a great peek behind the curtain. Holy cow.
It really was. I was jaw-dropped throughout of it. You know what? There's nothing more to say, so let's get out of the way and listen to this fantastic episode.
Don't sit on the collective.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond.
It was September 11th, 2001. So there I was, deep underground at the White House, standing shoulder to shoulder with Vice President Cheney inside the President's Emergency Operations Center during the attack on America when he ordered 2 F-15s at Otis Air National Guard Base and told them to get airborne. And as soon as they were airborne, they were weapons free to engage and to shoot that airliner down.
Whoa. Whoa. I speechless already. Absolutely speechless already. Oh, my God. That's how all terrifying aviation tales begin. Greetings, everybody. Happy 2025. Repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire tonight. And my co-host, Fig, where art thou?
Hey, I'm home for one more day, Kearney, Missouri. And It is our pleasure to welcome Shyster. And that, my friend, has my palms sweating already.
Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Oh my God! Well, I'll tell you what. I'm tempted to go right into that, but no, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. When's the first time you looked up in the sky and saw an airplane and went, "Oh, I want to do that"?
You know, it's funny that you say that, Repeat, because I went to college. I wanted to be a stockbroker. I wanted to be so rich I didn't have to talk to the same 2 people twice. Nice. And, you know, my mediocre grades and my economics courses.
Hold on. I got a question. Does that include wives and girlfriends, too? Just asking for a friend.
Believe it or not, October 23rd, 1983, everybody's running around campus talking about this huge bomb that went off in Lebanon, Beirut, Lebanon. Yeah. And the upperclassmen were now on the hockey team. I played hockey. I was a Division III hockey player. They were talking about joining the Marine Corps to go and fight Hezbollah. And I'm like, where's Hezbollah? What's Hezbollah? And where's Lebanon? And what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, I got invited down to meet this captain, this recruiter, this OSO. And he pretty much had told me to go away and said, hey, listen, the Air Force is down the hall. We make leaders here. You're a freshman. You're not serious. You're just, you're probing. Why don't you go back when you find out what you want to be when you grow up, and I'll be here waiting for you. That reverse psychology just shook me to the core, literally. And I went back, and I wanted nothing more than to become a Marine Corps aviator.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah. The Air Force is down the hall.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No offense to Hoover, that Patriot right there. But they were telling me the Air Force was down the hall.
How about that?
Nice.
So,
Did you say no? I want to join the military?
Yeah, exactly.
So obviously that worked for you. When did you go to OCS?
So my junior had to, get myself squared away. Between my junior and senior year, I did a 10-week PLC program, platoon leaders class. Went back to college, got all my credits, and off into the Marine Corps I went.
Was that the summer of 1986 by chance?
Yes, it was.
Were you in Charlie Company?
I was Bravo Company, 3rd Platoon.
We were there at the exact same time.
Wow.
I was living on the other side of the railroad track.
Unbelievable.
How about that? The world just got a little closer. Because I knew when you said you were a freshman in 1983, I'm like, well, okay, I was a freshman in 1983.
Yeah.
There you go. And you've always lived on the other side of the tracks, Fig. So,
and I've always been on the other side.
Yeah.
And not the good side.
No.
Wow. Okay. So,
Right
so what TBS class were you?
I was Fox 87.
Son of a bitch! I was Echo 87. You had Sinbad in your company.
We had Sinbad. We had a lot of
Yeah.
Naval Academy grads. They
right.
put us with the Naval Academy.
That's right.
Nice.
Wow. How about that? The world
Very
just
cool.
got really small. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So you did the air contract thing to go in?
I didn't know whether I wanted to go jets or helos. I was under an air contract.
Okay.
And literally at TBS, we're doing our 9-line briefs. And I'm all nervous now, and it's my turn on the Fox mic, and I'm calling in a section of Cobras to try to hit a target over at Quantico somewhere. And this Marine captain goes, hey, Lieutenant, stop talking. Where are you? And I said, I'm an Alpha Bravo 101. He goes, I'll be right there. And I shut up, and this Cobra landed right in the weeds. His co-pilot jumped out and said, we're here, you're there. Just clear us hot when we give you a call, and we're going to have no problems. And I went, I want to be you. I want to be you.
We're here. She's pointing on the map, right?
Yeah,
We're here. You're there. Just clear us hot, okay?
Clear us hot when we give you a call, and you'll be fine.
That
And
is
I said,
money.
man, I want to be that guy.
I could be wrong, Fig. I think we just got a show title. We're here, you're there. Just clear us hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's outstanding. Oh, very cool. Yeah, the one thing I regret, and of course it's much easier now than it was then because we didn't all carry the Instamatic cameras around. And with phones, it's obviously easier. But so many pictures with some of the cool equipment we got to be around and things we got to do.
Yeah.
Those pictures, I got those snapshots in my head, but nowhere else.
Yeah. Same.
So,
Well, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so you knew what you wanted. That makes it pretty easy.
I knew what I wanted off to flight school, and now I'm competing to try to become a Cobra pilot. And they're like, hey, settle down, big shifter. You got to get through flight school first. You're going to select jets, props, or helos, and then you're going to go recompete for that helo slot. That's a year and a half, 2 years down the road. So roger that. So I was going to repeat this at AI in Pensacola, off to Corpus Christi, became a VT-27 boomer, VT-27. Yep. And then from there, I went back to Pensacola to fly helos and then selected Cobras. They had one Cobra East Coast, one Cobra West Coast, and the guy who was number one ended up going Hueys. for some strange reason.
Ah.
And then I was number 2, so I picked the East Coast guy, the slot, and a friend of mine got the West Coast slot, and life couldn't have been better for anybody.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I'm surprised that you didn't pick West Coast and go East, and you pick East Coast and go West, because the needs of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, well, I mean, why?
Yeah, and it comes down to it was a girl. It was a girl on the East Coast. I didn't want to go all the way out there to the West.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Makes sense. Yeah. We've all done sillier things.
Yeah, good thing it paid off. She's behind me. You see the picture behind me.
Nice.
So married 33 years. She
Congratulations.
She got through the whole deployment thing and got married in 91.
That's outstanding.
Perfect. Very cool. Well, that's it takes a special breed to do all the what do they call it in the Civil War? Do the camp following that's required to be a military spouse. It is a special breed of person that manages to do that. I don't know how they do, but I digress. So you wound up going Cobras East. Did you? Where was the rag for Cobras? I don't remember.
It was Camp Pendleton, 303.
Pendleton.
Was our
Okay.
rag.
All right.
So everybody had to go out there, and then you came back to the East.
Okay. And did you deploy right away, or what? What was your time in the gun squadron like?
So I got there in March of 89, March 89, I guess. Yeah. And, as soon as Desert Shield kicked off, we were pretty much, we deployed right away. 11 days after he invaded Kuwait, we were sitting in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia for Desert Shield. Literally reading the TAC manual, trying to figure out how to fly Cobras. I mean, we were out there. We were deployed already.
How do you start this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, while you were doing that, we were watching everything on TV.
We were trying to figure out how to tune in CNN at the human base
Yeah.
ops.
we were in the only Harrier squad on the East Coast that didn't deploy.
We were in Dhahran for a good 6-7 months, August to like February, and thinking, okay, we're going to go north. And then all of a sudden, they packed us up and said, go out and be part of 5th MEB. You're going to be part of an amphibious landing on Falaka Island and everything else. So we went running out to 5th MEB. And next thing you know, they attacked from the west, all the tanks and Cobras. And the West Coast guys got all the medals. And we're sitting there, eating TV dinners on board the Shreveport, the Wasp. Not the Wasp at the time, the Nassau, whatever else was out there. Yeah. And then we got our chance to get in there and take – I tell everybody when I got in, I shot – 35 millimeter all over the place. And they're like, I thought the Cobra had a 20 millimeter cannon. I go, yeah, it does. I shot 35 millimeter all over the place, taking pictures.
Taking pictures.
So fast. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. So we've had a couple of the Bumblebees on VMA 331. Those guys were on the Nassau too out there. But let's back up a little bit. A couple of terms you covered. What is a MEB, please?
The Marine Expeditionary Force is a MEF, right? And then we had the brigade. Was it the brigade? The MEB?
Yep.
And then we were down with the MU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it used to be a MAU, and now it's a MU.
Yeah. Yeah. It was in the MAGTAF, the Marine Air Ground Task Force. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah. All right. And then it occurs to me, we haven't told people what on earth a Cobra is. So if you would describe that, because Sticks put up that we're up to the Zulu variant now, and
Isn't that
which is
amazing?
a cool bird. Yeah.
When I started in Fig, you'll appreciate this, the J model, which is pretty much a Vietnam holdover. Right. And we moved to the T's right away in the training command. And then all of a sudden we got the W's as we were going out to Desert Shield out there. That's why we're reading the TAC manuals. And now we're all the way up to the Zulus. 2 pilots, all the bullets you can carry, 4,000 shaft horsepower of just romp and stomp and death and destruction. It's just the greatest platform known to man.
Zuni rockets, sidewinders, cannon.
That thing just looks mean.
It looks pissed off if you're on the business end of it, no doubt about it. So who the front seat is the gunner?
Yeah, that's where we put the gunner in the front seat. We pretty much give him the tow missile responsibility, the wire-guided
anti-tank
tows. That's
right. Yeah.
And then the pilot in the back will shoot rockets, and he may shoot the gun in a fixed position, or the pilot in the front can use the TSU, the telescopic sighting unit, and aim that 20 millimeter cannon at anti-armor, anti-personnel, whatever you need.
And that's the gun that is somehow slaved to the helmet, if I recall?
It is. There's a reticle that will snap down over your right eye, and you'll love this, repeat. And you can see what you're shooting at, and it's bore-sighted, but that thing rattles the helicopter so much, you don't hit a thing with it, but a building will fall down on what you're trying to kill type thing. It just wipes out the whole area, and your fillings are coming out. Your helmet's coming off. It's just brutal.
Just add vibration to something that's already vibrating the shit out of it.
Right. You'd think it would smooth it out.
Well, who's actually flying the helicopter, the front seater or the back seater?
You have the capability either seat. We got flight controls in both seats. The primary pilot's in the back.
Okay.
And
yeah,
why
that's
the
kind of
front seat gunner is primary weapon.
So do you Rochambeau for who gets to run the gun? I mean, how's that?
And they do. It's up to the pilot in command to say what seat he wants. If you're carrying tow missiles, it's funny how they all want to be in the front. But, if you're doing a nav route at nighttime on goggles, they all want to be in the back. So you get rushed first type thing. So they make the choice of what seat they want based on the mission you're going to go fly.
I see.
Fair enough.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Disney says, just put the thing on the thing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Reticle. Put the thing on the thing, pull the trigger. It'll work.
Yeah. But you didn't have to hit him to kill him. You just scared him to death when that thing starts firing shit down range.
Yeah, they were smart enough to give us, area, detonation type weapons where you didn't have to hit anything. You just got to get close and let the shrapnel do it.
So the J model, was that a two-bladed main rotor?
Yeah, same two-bladed main rotor, but it had none of the fancy avionics or weapon systems stuff in there. There was a 20 millimeter cannon on it, but the TSU didn't have the power. The engines didn't have the power. It's nothing like the Cobra of today.
I can only imagine.
Well, so did you, after the first gun squadron tour in the war, did you? How did you get into this job that you were in on the day that you opened this store? I mean, what was your career? Can you kind of walk us
takes
through?
down your career path there. Yeah.
So interesting that we jumped right there. But I came home from Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Right. Yeah, I deployed again, this time on a regular Muse schedule with HMM 263.
What was that turnaround time? What was the turnaround time?
Probably a year.
Oh,
so we
wow,
got
that's pretty
home
quick.
and turned it right around. Yeah, and it was good. You were in the mode. You just wanted to keep going. It was a good cycle. And then now we ended up, and I think you'll appreciate this story because how things come down to feet and seconds in our life and our business. We deployed again, and we went to Somalia after going to the Persian Gulf. On the way back, we went to Somalia because General Adid, the warlord, was becoming an enemy of the United Nations. We were delivering food and trying to help the people of Somalia who were starving. And so we went out there and we were escorting food, big convoys of food into the villages. And all of a sudden the mission came down that General Adid needs to be arrested. And the CIA was on the ground. We had all the hockey helmet special ops guys on board the ship, Hueys and Cobras ready to go. 46s carrying special ops, and we took off. And the intel was General Adid travels in 3 white Land Cruisers. He's in the middle Land Cruiser. So right away, time on target. Don't hit him too soon. Don't hit him too late. We need to let him get out of Mogadishu proper because too many people, too crowded. Well, Marines ran in there, and we hit the first vehicle and the third vehicle. We got fires going, explosions. And now 1,000 Somalis are running down the road. Next thing you know, Adid gets out of his car. We can see him sprinting back towards the masses. Hockey helmet guys get off. Everybody's trying to get him. The Cobras were hovering over the high-speed avenue approaches, ready to take out anybody that tries to help them. Lo and behold, all the helicopters are being hit with rocks and bottles. They're all on the ground. They're all taking real damage.
Oh my God.
And we ended up hurting 14 Somalis. These special ops guys obviously ran over them. We aborted the mission, got the Somalis on board. We're flying back to, at that time, we were on the Wasp now.
Yeah.
And we have broken windscreens and things like this. And 14 Somalis injured. But because of 30 seconds too soon, because we didn't wait those 30 seconds more, we turned the mission back over to the Army, and they had Black Hawk down in October because General Adid and his forces were waiting for him.
Damn. How about that?
So it comes down to a sliver of time and space between success and failure.
Inches and seconds and snapshots and sound bites, and the world goes by. Damn.
Well, then I came home. They made me a Cobra flight instructor. I went to Pendleton. I flew the next generation pilots, taught them how to fly the Cobra. Got selected for recruiting duty in New York City to go on back home where I was from, where I grew up in Newburgh, and I went to Iona. And my job then was flying college kids around. So I had a government purchase card, and I can rent Robinson helicopters and jet rangers and give college kids rides to try to convince them to become Marine aviators. Greatest job in the whole world. And I put a package in for HMX.
That's
and then
fantastic.
In 1998, I was selected to fly to Quantico at Marine Helicopter Squadron 1 for in support of President Clinton. And literally, I did that for 2.5 years.
Very cool. So I didn't realize. I'm sorry, we got a bit of a lag there, but I didn't realize that so any Marine helicopter pilot can apply to HMX-1?
And that was a change. At some point, it was a cargo helicopter mission. If you were flying 53s or 46s, you could apply for HMX. And somebody said, "No, we'll take probably a personnel shortage. Everything ebbs and flows."
Sure.
And they opened it up to all of us. And I put a package in to go and fly with HMX.
I'm going to run a name by you.
Okay.
Shyster. Steve Belser.
Oh, yeah. A great American.
So we were roommates in college. And
I'm sorry.
We grew up together. His dad was my dentist.
Oh, my God. I'm sure you didn't get a breath of fresh air living with him in college. So, he's a filthy son of a bitch.
I have to tell you a story that I know you will appreciate. So he gives me a call. He calls me out of blue. I haven't talked to this dude since and by the way, I graduated a year before him because he had to stay back because he got in the PLC program and needed to delay a little bit. So anyway, he calls me and says, "Hey, listen, I applied to HMX-1. I put you down as a reference, so somebody may be calling you or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So flash forward about 6 months. I totally forgot this conversation happened. I'm in Kingsville, Texas as an instructor. I'm in between flights. I just finished debriefing, and I'm getting ready to go rebrief and fly again, and there's this dude in a suit standing in the middle of the passageway, and he says, are you Fig Newton? And I'm looking around, and I look down at my name tags on my flight sheet, and I'm like, yes.
Crap! I forgot the alias name tag today.
Is there someplace we can talk? And I'm like, my mind's racing. I'm like, sure. So I take him
Do I need a lawyer?
briefing room, and the whole time, I'm thinking, what have I done in the last week or two? So as soon as he starts talking, I know what this is about because he says, "So how long have you known Steve Belser?" So he's really straight. He's got his notepad out. He's asking me all this stuff, and I said, "Listen, I think I know where you're going with this, and I think I can save us both a lot of time." After he got over his cocaine and gambling habit in college, he was a straight shooter. This dude looks up at me, doesn't even crack a smile, and then goes right back to writing and says, "Okay, so when was this and I'm like, oh, God. Yeah. So I call Belser after this event that evening, and I told him that story, and he shit a brick. He goes, "What?
You did what?"
And he goes, "Dude, he knew I was kidding." And he goes, "No, he probably didn't know I was kidding. You son of a bitch." He called me like 5 different. Anyway, obviously he got the job.
Yeah, and he's a great officer, great pilot. Everybody enjoyed him in the squadron. He did real well there. So good for you.
That's fantastic.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. So you got the job at HMX-1.
Yeah. So now from HMX, we had one position inside the White House military office, airlift operations. And this position is logistics. Everywhere the president goes, he only rides on our helicopters. He's driven in our limousines, speaks on our phones. So all that gear has got to be moved in advance of Air Force One.
Right.
And that doesn't happen by magic. There's a big airlift operations department inside the White House. So I went up there to represent the squadron. And just as the Bush administration was coming in, so this is October of 2000 timeframe, I thought I was going to hate that job, repeat. But when President Bush came in, he said, all the military members, what color badges are theirs? And they went, those are blue badges. He goes, blue badges can go anywhere on this campus they want to go, any time of day. And then he literally put us in the bullseye. You can do anything, but we were smart enough not to. But other people
right.
couldn't go where we could go. But we weren't that, we weren't foolish with that.
Wow. Okay.
He really elevated our status.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that's what you were doing there on September 11th. You were
yeah. So you're jumping into it, and
yeah. Well, what I wanted to find out, and because what I want to do is then talk briefly to our sponsors, and then get into the nitty gritty of the show. But can you tell us about the military structure at the White House? Who's there? What are they doing? What are their missions? That kind of stuff. And again, I realize some of that may be sensitive, and you can't chat about that. So.
Sure, but we have all services are represented at the White House, right, under the White House military office banner, if you will. So the Navy is running Camp David. They do the cooks and all the stewards up there for the first family. They run that. The Marines have the perimeter up there. They're the guards. Back in the White House, airlift ops is a joint office. And some days you're doing POTUS, President of the United States type logistics. You're making those cars, limousines, helicopters get shipped out. And other days you're doing First Lady or you're doing congressional missions. It rotates on a weekly schedule, if you will. I just happened to have the president during the week of 9/11. Yeah. I was responsible for that logistics. And listen, when I take you down into the bunker with me and we talk about those events, it's you're not going to want to stop for a commercial.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I'm just like, holy smokes. Because we were talking pre-show. Well, Fig and I were talking last week. And I'm like, well, he was a Cobra guy, but he was at the White House. And I know he's at HMX-1, but that was all we knew. It was just the periphery of it. That
this makes more sense now.
Yeah.
I'm getting to understand how this all went, how you got there. And that's probably pretty cool job.
It was a good job. Yeah, it was really cool. It was intense when you're on the hook for all the logistics for the president. I mean, I'll give you an example. President Clinton, for example, wanted to go to Morocco to attend a funeral. And we sent 22 C-17s full of limousines, helicopters, phones, snipers, doctors. No Trauma One Center. We had to fly one in. It is just an enormous logistics.
Well, because you can't send one limo and one helicopter and hope they work when they get there, right? Exactly. I mean, among other things.
We got backups to those aircraft. It's just an unbelievable. It's an honor in the sense where you get what you asked for. There's no one in the supply chain telling you, "I'm sorry, we just don't
can't help you."
Yeah, sorry, can't work that out for you.
Yeah,
and so that's a pretty high visibility job.
Yeah,
right.
Especially when you screw it up, Fig. All of a sudden, you're someone that everybody wants to get to know.
How'd Bart put it? Everyone loves you till you punt one into the stands.
Yeah. I'm guessing if everything goes right, well, you did your job, so nobody's going to slap you on the back. But as soon as something's not right, it's fuck.
Yeah. I didn't think about plastic forks for the cake. Crap. They got to eat it with their hands.
I think you guys would enjoy this quick story. When I was flying President Clinton around, he would come on. We would land in the White House lawn. It's very cool. We're on the boards. You did a good landing. He comes out and comes up the stairs right to the cockpit, and he's leaning in. He's going, "Fig, it's good to see you. Repeat, happy it's you. I'm glad it's you guys." And he goes back, and you go, "Man, I think the president and I just might be buds." When Hillary gets on, There's no hello, no goodbye. She's in a terrible mood. She was back to the helicopter, off the helicopter, steering young Chelsea by the shoulders. And we used to joke up there going, hey, it's not our fault. I'm sure he pissed her off. Whatever he did, put her in that kind of mood. Because they were at it all the time, the two of them.
Yeah, I heard some of that from Steve. So, yeah. I got some inside baseball.
How?
Not good.
Yeah. In fact, Secret Service agent Bill Doyle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No. Okay. All right. I had to ask. Bill and I were in flight school together, and he left and went to the Secret Service. So. All right.
Yes.
Hey, it's called Secret for a reason, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I meant Schmill Hoyle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys want to go in the bunker?
Yeah. Let's say a quick thank you to the people who make this show possible. And this week we've got HelloFresh back. We're super thrilled that they're here helping us make these stories come to you. And HSI Wealth Strategies is back as well. So there I was, standing in my kitchen thinking about how to make dinner a little more special over the holidays. Normally, my wife handles most of the cooking in our house, but this time I wanted to give her a well-deserved break, and that's when HelloFresh saved the day. I took over in the kitchen for the evening, and I cheated. In a good way, though. I cooked a HelloFresh pork carnitas tacos meal, and let me tell you, even my kids were amazed. My wife got a break from deciding on a meal, shopping for everything, then preparing it, and we all got to enjoy a delicious meal together. It's these moments that make HelloFresh special for us. If you're tired of figuring out what's for dinner night after night, especially on those busy weekdays, HelloFresh makes it so easy. With farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and 50 wholesome, hassle-free meal options to choose from delivered to your door every week, it's no wonder they're America's #1 meal kit. One of my favorite things? Their new ready-made meals go from fridge to fork in just 3 minutes. The same high-quality ingredients and restaurant-worthy flavors, but none of the work. Perfect for those nights when you just don't want to spend time in the kitchen. And here's the best part. You can try it for yourself. Get up to 10 free meals with a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/SoThereIWasFM. That's Fox Mike. One item per box with active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/SoThereIWas10FM. Take it from me. HelloFresh makes cooking easy, fun, and affordable. No more grocery store runs, no more dinner stress, just great meals and more time with the family or friends. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Oh, and don't forget to share your creations with #HelloFreshPics at HelloFresh. I'd love to see what you've whipped up. Hey, Fick. So, there I was.
Oh, here we go.
Flying high, thinking I had my retirement strategy all lined up. Then I learned the hard way how quickly turbulence can shake that plan up.
Let's face it, folks. Planning for retirement is a lot like flying IFR in a storm. Without the right instruments, if you're just 1 degree off course, before you know it, you're way off course. That's where HSI Wealth Strategies comes in.
HSI, which stands for Horizontal Situation Indicator, that's the trusty gauge in your cockpit that keeps you on course, just like their team keeps you on course for a secure retirement.
And the folks at HSI know a thing or two about the cockpit. These aren't your average wealth advisors. They're also pilots, just like us. Air Guard and civil aviators who don't just fly the line, they now guide the bottom line. Plus, they're seasoned at working with airline professionals, high net worth individuals, and business owners to ensure financial plans that can withstand any headwind.
Absolutely. And they know the ins and outs of the airline retirement plans like nobody else. From maximizing your accumulation while you're earning those high altitude salaries to minimizing your tax liabilities when it's time to pull back on the throttle. Because let's face it, taxes and inflation are like headwinds working against your glide path to a smooth retirement.
And don't fall into the trap of conventional wisdom when it comes to retirement planning. That kind of advice is like asking someone who's never flown to land the plane for you. We, as pilots, have unique challenges, and HSI gets that. They know how to help you avoid a hard landing on your financial future.
And let's talk about the golden rule of pilot retirement. Hey, Fig, how does a pilot make $1 million in his retirement account?
Well, he starts with $2 million and manages it himself for 6 months.
Bingo. And sadly, I've seen that happen.
Oh, dude. So true. That's why you've got to get a team in your corner who actually knows what they're doing. And with HSI, you're not only getting financial advisors, you're getting fellow pilots who still fly, who know exactly what it's like to be in your seat.
HSI can save you serious money. On average, they're finding their clients $1 million to $1.5 million just by making a few course corrections. Imagine what a little trim and rudder input could do for your retirement account.
So whether you're in the thick of your earning years or just about ready to enjoy your time in the jump seat, HSI Wealth Strategies has your six. Don't wait until you're ready to make your approach to realize you're off course. Give HSI a call and see how much they can help you save.
Because, folks, when it comes to retirement, you only get one approach. Make sure it's on glide path. To get your extra $1 million or so in retirement, email robert.walling@nm.com. That's robert.walling@nm, that's November Mike.com. Or call 214-538-7030. That's 214-538-7030 to get started on your path to wealth and retirement today.
Remember, 214-538-7030. Think of it as 214-JET-7030 to keep you flying high in retirement.
HSI Wealth Strategies, guiding pilots on and off the runway to a smooth landing in retirement.
Boom.
Outstanding. Thank you both HelloFresh and HSI Wealth Strategies for helping bring these cool stories. And when I said at the beginning of the show, strap in, I think I was right. We're about to go into the bunker. Let me ask, in retrospect, before you get in and go through all of this, how mind-blowing was this whole experience to your 22, 23-year-old self when you're actually sitting there? Was it almost out of body going, oh my God, am I seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think at the time I was 32. I was 30 years old.
Ripe old age of 32.
And being that close to our national leaders, Vice President, and then Dr. Rice, who was our national security advisor, talking to the president on board Air Force One and hearing them talk the same way you and I are talking, just normal people trying to ascertain what the heck is going on and making those critical decisions to save lives. And watching them really, and I know I'm going to take you into the bunker, but they were willing to take lives out of the sky to save more lives on the ground.
Right.
That's, to a level of courage that few people probably would ever have.
Right. A call no one should ever have to make, but obviously someone does have to make it. But wow. So, yeah. So you got out of bed on a Tuesday morning in September.
I did.
Clear day, going to work, another day at the grind.
Yeah, I went over to the slug lot. Repeat, we got this HOV system going. You can jump into a stranger's car and they don't have to pay the tolls. They go right on up. We drop them off. I was driving. I dropped them off at the Pentagon. 2 people drove over to the White House, parked. I had just done the logistics for President Bush in Sarasota. All the cars were there, the limos, helicopters, phones, snipers, doctors. He was down there executing his academic agenda. We had our 8 o'clock morning meeting. We're in the Eisenhower building, adjacent to the West Wing. And we're talking about the president's schedule. How's it going? He's PTing right now. He's got some meetings. He's due to get wheels up at 1300, 1 in the afternoon. He's coming back to Andrews. That was our morning meeting. Everything changed at 8:46. All of a sudden, somebody ran into the office, the airlift ops room, and said, hey, quick, turn on CNN. Apparently, a small airplane hit the North Tower. We worked our way over. We can see the hole in the building, crystal blue, clear day. First thing out of our mouths is, why would a pilot careen into a 110-story landmark? You got the East River, you got the Hudson River. Most of us could glide and reach LaGuardia Airport.
Yeah.
It's that close. There's got to be so much more of the story. The phone is ringing. American Airlines Flight 11 departed out of Boston Logan, on its way out to LAX, lost communications over Albany, New York, down the Hudson River at over 500 miles an hour into the North Tower. Things are starting to heat up now. Phones are ringing. People are moving around. All of a sudden, we're watching the TV when we saw United Airlines Flight 175. I yelled up at the TV set going, "What's this moron doing?" Trying to get a look at the hole in the North Tower.
Right. Yeah.
And before he circles to land, and all of a sudden, it hit the South Tower at full power.
Yeah.
Literally, my boss, Air Force Full Bird Colonel, came in, just like talking to me and you, and said, "Everybody stop what you're doing. Eyeballs on me. We have a full-blown terrorist event unfolding right before our eyes in the city of New York. Stand by for a lot of White House designated missions."
Yeah.
And you go, what the heck does that mean? Well, whenever we have a national tragedy, everybody wants to be there. Whether it's FEMA, Treasury, Interior, they all have a role to play. And you're talking about resources or expertise. But if they call the Department of Defense for airlift, you get put into a queue. No one government agency is more important than the other. But if you call the White House and you go, "Hey, boss, this is FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I got 75 doctors, all the medicines I can carry. I really need to be on the ground up there in New York." And the White House says go, then you become what we call a 1 Alpha 1. We will push baby food out of the back of the next available C5, C1, C17, 141, 130, whatever we got in the inventory is yours, because the White House wants you to be in New York. So everybody was scrambling at that point. Let me fast forward. We got two towers burning. We're doing the 1 Alpha 1s. An airliner overflies the White House. So low and so loud, we all froze in our tracks. Somebody ran to the window and goes, "Holy mackerel, big white jet, hard left-hand turn, heading west." Breaking news. Fire and explosion over at the Pentagon. Pentagon just hit by American 7 Flight 77. But that was not the plane that overflew the White House. If you remember, on 9/11, we were doing a large Air Force nuclear command and control exercise. We put one of our national level assets in E4B, NAOC, the National Airborne Ops Center.
Yeah.
Four in the inventory, and they moved one to Andrews. When the second tower was struck, they activated that air crew and said, "Get to the President of the United States." So if he wants to get off the flying White House and climb on to the flying Pentagon, these two 747s need to go figure out where they're going to make the switch. When they took off out of Andrews, they put a laser line to Sarasota, Florida, and it took them left, and they flew right over the White House. That's what got, there you go, that's what got Vice President Cheney picked up by his elbows by Secret Service and now being forced.
No shit.
So you know what, Shyster, I've never heard that story.
Neither have I.
Literally, that 747 and that hijacked 757 passed each other in flight as one was racing to the president and one was hitting the west side of the Pentagon that morning.
Wow. So I'm it doesn't happen very often, but I'm speechless right now.
I'm slack-jawed. Yeah. Yeah. This is amazing.
Well, for the second time in history, repeat, the White House was ordered evacuated. First time being 1814. Dolly Madison carrying a print of George Washington out the back door while the British are burning down Washington, D.C. Here it is 187 years later. We're ordering the evacuation of the White House for the second time in history.
Man. And then to an undisclosed location.
That colonel came in that I worked for, said, "That's it, shut it down. Lock up your classified information." It's true. We used to lock that stuff up. Now you can put it in the back of your Corvette and put it in your garage. But we used to have to lock that stuff up. way back.
Pull the pin on that one, brother. Before you roll it under the 10 flap. Well played, sir.
Well played. Well played, sir.
Well, that's it. So my boss is trying to get me to go to the alternate site. And I said, listen, President Bush is not coming back. Wherever they're going to take him today, he needs snipers, doctors, helicopters, and phones. And he ordered me down into the underground bunker under the White House called the POC, or President's Emergency Operations Center. This is not the Situation Room. That's the Secure Communications Hub. This is a deep underground, nuclear-hardened facility. Listen, on 9/11, 95% of the staffers didn't know this place existed. They never have a reason to be there.
And on 9/12, they did. So I imagine my understanding is there's all manner of ins and outs underneath there that no one save the Secret Service and the highest elected officials and cabinet members are aware of. So exactly. At least any details. I'm aware they exist, but I have no idea the intricacy of it and all that, I'm sure.
And when I got cleared to tell you this story that I'm telling you, they were like, you can talk about the POC. Don't tell me how deep it is, how thick the walls are, or how to get there. It's a national level secret. We don't want to replace it. We need to protect it. But it's a main hub of operations at this moment in time.
I'm guessing it's deep, thick, and really hard to find. Just a guess.
So is that where you went to operate out of? From?
I went to operate to do logistics for the president, move cars, helicopters, phones, and snipers. When you're standing outside a bank vault on steroids, right? Not a door you and I pull on. Yeah. I request permission to enter. You go into this place. The first person I see is Vice President Cheney's military aide, an Air Force major, a friend of mine. And I said, hey, Tom, I know you're busy. I'm here to do logistics for the POTUS. I'll stay out of your way. Well, listen, Fake, he goes, Bob, forget logistics. Help me out. The phones are ringing off the hook. And I literally looked around and I see these military members doing their jobs, empty consoles. I took a console. The phone was ringing. 7 minutes after the White House was ordered evacuated, this was my first phone call that day. I picked up the phone, Major Darling. It was a situation room upstairs that said, Major, we have another hijacked airplane 16 miles south of Pittsburgh, inbound Washington, D.C. And I turned to my right to tell the mill aide, and Vice President Cheney is standing 4 inches from my face going, what do you got? I snapped to Mr. Vice
Bad
President.
News, sir.
Situation room reports 16 miles south of Pittsburgh. We have another one inbound. And he turned away from me because on the wall down there are these landlines. They're speaker boxes. He can be patched through to talk to whoever he needs to talk to. The first person he asked for was, get me the Herndon, Virginia Command Center for the FAA. The supervisor's name was Rick. He came on the network. Mr. Vice President, how can I help you, sir? I was just told we have another hijacked aircraft somewhere south of Pittsburgh. Can you confirm that for me? He goes, yes, sir. They're not talking. They're not squawking a transponder code. They're way off course. That's a hijacked aircraft. He turns to the second speaker box and he goes, hey, Don, are you up? He's looking for Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense. There's only two people in the U.S. government who can give offensive lethal instructions to the U.S. military. That's the president and the SecDef. Anybody can defend themselves. But if we're going to cross a border, kill a terrorist, wipe out an army, it comes from the National Command Authority. We have a president trying to get airborne, and the Secretary of Defense is somewhere now lost among thousands at the Pentagon parking lot.
Oh, right.
There's no one at the helm of our national military command and control structure to defend America. It was awkward when Vice President Cheney talked to a one-star general, and he said, General, get me 2 F-15s at a Otis Air National Guard Base, Cape Cod. Let me know when they're airborne. Stand by to shoot this aircraft down. Wow. Next thing we heard, in my 14 years in the Marine Corps, I thought that only the president could give that order. And right out of the vice president's mouth, to get our country going forward, In lieu of the absence of Secretary Rumsfeld, the president trying to get airborne, he ordered our military forward. The Pentagon called Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, home of NORAD. The NORAD commander calls the Northeast Air Defense Sector 2-star. They scrambled 2 F-15s, probably somebody you know. Next thing you know, they are supersonic over Long Island, New York, reporting 8 minutes to weapons free. 8 minutes out for weapons per hour. They can close the gap of 300 miles in 8 minutes and be in parameters. And he said, you are cleared hot. You are weapons free to engage. It was like the air sucked out of the room. Everybody standing by. At 10:05, all the satellite radios blared to life. Aircraft down. 60 miles south of Pittsburgh. No survivors. Vice President Cheney turned around. He walked right over to me and he goes, Major, for the congressional investigation, state your full name. And just then I was thinking to myself, no.
Hold on. Did I wear the wrong name tag to work today? Crap.
Yeah. It's now a good time to tell you I came here to do logistics. Well, I snapped my heels together and said, Mr. Vice President, it's Major Darling. He goes from Major Darling to the Vice President to the National Military Command Center. We just shot that plane down. I really need to talk to the president. And as we were trying to get the president on Air Force One, the same satellite radios blared back to life, but the F-15s never fired. They never fired. Yeah. Flight 93 was on the ground in Shanksville, Pennsylvania when they got there.
Yeah. Wow. I've got his widow's book, Let's Roll.
Yeah.
Todd Beamer's widow. But, I almost feel hollow. Having never heard.
This is connecting a lot of dots.
It is so fascinating to to see how it all had to come together too. And it never occurred to me that Secretary Rumsfeld was out of the loop after the Pentagon got tapped.
Yes.
And that I knew because the one question, and this may not be the right time to get to it, but at some point I would like you to talk about they were flying all over the damn place with President Bush, and at some point he went, screw this, we're going back to D.C. And everyone's telling him, you can't go there, it may be unsafe. And he's like, yeah, no, this is where I'm going. It's home, and people need me there. So.
Yeah, and he was fighting with his Secret Service all day long to try to get back to Washington, D.C. But, there's protocols, and we got to keep the president alive, and we got to keep the government functioning. And he was up against those protocols. And then finally, from Strategic Command out at Offutt, he made the call that there is no continuity of presidency in effect right now. I'm coming home. He ordered a second presidential daily brief. The CIA briefs the president every day at 8 o'clock in the morning on worldwide threats. He got a brief that morning in Sarasota. Obviously inadequate. He's coming home. He wants to know where they are and what options he has available tonight to take action. What are his options? Where are the troops? Where's our strength? And it was incredible. Dr. Rice was scrambling black Suburbans all over Washington, D.C., going, if you got actionable intelligence, it needs to make it in ASAP. The president is getting a brief at 6:30 tonight. And they were scrambling to build this book.
How about that?
I want to tell you a couple of major milestones, major events, and I won't keep you all night long, that's for sure. But at one point,
I can sit here all night, not to worry about that. This is fascinating.
And I know your listeners will really appreciate this. At one point, we lost the South Tower. Right. And literally we called the president, and this is about 10:00. I guess we lost the South Tower at 10:03, or I don't remember the time now. But we called the president and said we had 20,000 dead Americans in the city of New York. And when we lost the North Tower, we told the president of the United States, it is our best guess that we have 40,000 dead Americans, most likely in New York City. Yeah. Well, President Bush all of a sudden got his sea legs at some point underneath of him, and he was having an air threat conference, meaning a cabinet level official, you got to call in on your Iridium radio and brief the president. You got 15 seconds to tell him what's happening in your area of responsibility. And they're going around the horn, and we're patched into this. This is about 10:20 in the morning. And it was Donald Rumsfeld who said, I recommend we take our nuclear weapons from defense condition 4 up to DEFCON 3. 5 is peace. 1 is imminent nuclear war. We're worldwide DEFCON 4. They're saying, I recommend that we move it under these circumstances to DEFCON 3. President Bush goes, you know what? Have them stand by for DEFCON 2. And Dr. Rice, sitting next to me, was amazed. She's holding on to me while this is all happening. Vice President Cheney goes, Condi, make it happen. She picks up the red phone, a hotline to the Pentagon, executive order, the President of the United States, move our nuclear forces from DEFCON 4 to DEFCON 3. Stand by DEFCON 2. The Pentagon called Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, the 4-star out there, buttoned up the mountain for the first time in history in anger. And he calls our 4-star combatant commanders around the world. And I want you all to know it took 3 minutes. And we heard, this is Central Command, Pacific Command, European Command, Southern Command, Special Operations Command, Joint Forces Command, Strategic Command. This is NORAD. We are DEFCON 3, standing by DEFCON 2. We're going to war. We just don't know who we're going to war with. I turn to my console. My phone is ringing. I pick it up. I go, Major Darling, Situation Room upstairs. Goes, I have President Putin holding for the President of the United States. Will you take the call? And I'm thinking, no, tell President
My Russian
Putin,
isn't that good.
I'm going to do logistics. And sure enough, I yell at Vice President Cheney, who tells Dr. Rice to take the call. And I'm like, are we going to do this in Russian? How's this going to go down? Plain English, just like you and me. Thank you, Mr. President, for the phone call through an interpreter. He's in motion. We don't know the size and scope of the attack. We don't even know if it's over yet. But I can tell you this much. He's going to call you the first chance he gets. And by the way, sir, thank you for standing down your nuclear forces. So when we went worldwide DEFCON 3, they decided to stand down and stay at their 4. Normally they would match if we went 2. They wanted to be 2, 1, 1. And they stayed at their worldwide DEFCON 4 while we went, ultimately, everybody to DEFCON 3.
Wow. Talk about being on the brink. And
Wow.
Long story short, it was not a good day for the U.S. military. We were slow to react. We thought we had 40,000 dead Americans. We had comm problems with the president on Air Force One. We couldn't get hold of Rumsfeld at the Pentagon. We had, Vice President Cheney making orders, giving out orders that he really wasn't authorized to do to get us moving forward. But yet the American people rose up that day. Ordinary people carrying strangers down the stairs in those towers. Todd Beamer, Tom Burnett, others, hand-to-hand combat with terrorists on board planes. We heard shopkeepers and everybody open up their homes to take in strangers to get them out of the battle damage area. Unbelievable stories of the American spirit, how everybody rose up to fight back. And it was a horrific number at 2996, but it sure wasn't 40,000 dead.
That's
Right.
staggering. Right.
And that was due to the heroics of the American public, who was right there with us. People
Absolutely.
that we serve really rose back up and served us that day as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's outstanding.
It really is. I'm going to disagree with you slightly in that the American, was it a great day for the American military? It was a hard lesson learned, but how long had we been without expecting that? I mean, for instance, having jets take off with the thought that they were going to have to ram that flight because they didn't have weapons on a hot pad standing by to go shoot anything, that sort of thing. So I would argue that complacency was built out of a long time of peace and thinking that the oceans were big enough to protect us. But I would argue that also the military stood up that day and did an amazing job of keeping things together and reacting and not taking over. Again, listening to the civilian leadership, the way it was designed to be. But oh my God!
Repeat. I'll tell you, I agree with everything you just said. We were slow to react. We were looking outward. This was an attack that happened inside of our country. And, I'm not going to get political with you, but just something to think about. We just had the New Orleans attack and the attack in Vegas. Well, these 19 terrorists were living amongst us. They were here in our country. How many did we just let walk across the border over the last X amount of years? We probably have 7.5 million bad guys now in our country, for all we know. So our country needs to be vigilant, and it needs all of us, our people, our military. Obviously, if you see something, say something. But this is an all hands on deck time in American history now to make sure that this does not happen again.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just jaw dropping. Let me ask an inane question. When'd you go to bed?
No going to bed. There was no going to bed because literally after the president got home, he wanted his cabinet home from overseas locations. He wanted to have an emergency cabinet meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he wanted everybody home. And we had even the former president, Clinton, was stuck in Australia, and we had to do an emergency mission to get he and his wife flown out of Australia so they can be on the ground up there. Senator from New York wanted to be on the ground at ground zero as soon as possible. So there was an all-nighter. Everybody was just doing incredible things. He kicked off the 8 o'clock emergency cabinet meeting. They came down and said, find a place to sleep. You got 24 hours. We need you back. It was at that time I was able to run down the road, to see my family, to turn around, get some shut-eye, and then turn around and get right back to the White House. But nobody went anywhere. We were taking our country to war.
Right. No, exactly. So one of the longest days, much like your first day at OCS, right?
Yeah.
You think we're going to go to bed tonight? No, not till tomorrow night at the earliest. and all probably similarly chaotic, although this time it was for real instead of some staff sergeant screwing with you. It was.
I've been blessed. I'm allowed to travel around and tell this story, and you go and you. People are grateful for the veterans. They're grateful for the sacrifice. When you talk about wives earlier on tonight, how military wife, but think about those special operations forces that we have 2 deployments and you're back and you're done. They've been deploying 10 times. They've been deploying nonstop for the last 23 years.
Right.
Yeah. They lost that was the first wife. They're probably on wife number 3 or 4.
Right. If they're even still doing it or just going, no.
Yeah, they're dedicated to keeping our country safe. It's an incredible group of people that we call, fellow citizens that just doing just unbelievable things on behalf of this nation.
Right.
Let's talk about your book. When did you author your book?
It was funny because Fig, I never wrote a book before, right? And I got permission. I had the PowerPoint slides. I went to the National Security Council, and they like, hey, Marine, we don't approve PowerPoint slides. You're going to have to write a memoir and then give us blackout authority. I'm like, memoir, what the heck is that? And they, pretty much told me this is what you got to do to get it done. And it took me a year and a half, and it was an incredible journey reliving it and organizing it. And it came out in October of 2010. And I've been running around talking about crisis leadership and decision making, using my story of 9/11 as a backdrop to those learning the framework of what it means to handle and respond to a crisis. And I've been busy for the last 13 or 14 years just on that subject alone. It's been therapeutic and something I'm really proud of.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
I bet it was therapeutic.
Yeah. Speaking of books, have you read any of Jack Carr's books?
I don't think so. I'm a big Vince Flynn guy.
Okay.
I read everything that he's ever penned.
Vince Flynn was fantastic. Cut down by cancer all too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But so Jack Carr is a retired Navy SEAL who decided he wanted to write books, and so he did. And he had a Chris Pratt in mind as his protagonist hero, and a friend of his gave his transcript, or actually the finished book was about to be published, gave it to Chris Pratt, and then Chris Pratt starred in the movie or the series on Amazon and all that. And I'd just be curious what you thought if you had read it. What how about the accuracy? Seems to me pretty accurate from what I know of it, but haven't been at the level of that you're at. But yeah, Terminal List,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the movie was unbelievable, great. So I loved it. And there's there's some fiction in there, and there's some reality. It's it's sort of like a Tom Clancy.
And what brought me to that was the blackout redaction authority that they want on how much of your book got redacted.
Interesting. I went to the National Security Council before I wrote it, and the lady gave me the rules. And she said, hey, you know what? If you follow the rules, we're not going to have a problem. I don't want any classified programs, covert people, or undisclosed places. Tell me about the PIOC, that you were there. That's it. I don't want to know any capabilities, how to get there, anything about it. And all the people that work here that are special people, I don't want them mentioned at all. Follow the rules, and you and I are going to have no trouble at all. She approved my memoir in 6 weeks.
Wow. Nice.
That seems pretty fast.
That's impressive. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Green, you must have followed some. You must have
followed a rule or two.
That's why it's only 4 pages long. I followed the rules.
Yeah, there's lots of pictures. Pictures are good for us.
So you can't. In fact, I wouldn't want you to. But I would like to ask this question: what? And this is another inane question, I'm sure. What was the biggest positive leadership you saw on that day, or lesson you learned that day about leadership, about crisis management, that sort of thing that you carry forward? And again, I don't need a name. And what was the biggest mistake you saw by anybody that day? And again, no names.
Well, I think it's safe to give you a name on the front end there. But let me tell you, the leadership that no one will ever forget that we all witnessed down there came from Dr. Condoleezza Rice. She was a national security advisor. She is such an important person, and yet she sat next to me, and then she stood behind me, and all those military members, she's like, you're the experts, do your job. Does anybody need water, food? You need to talk to the vice president? Should I get the president on the phone so you can talk to him? She was willing to do
I love hearing that.
We asked of her. Her humility and professionalism just transcended that room, and everybody was just, if she ever ran for president, I have no doubt everybody who witnessed her that day would be on the bus. She was unbelievable. At the same time,
outstanding.
We had a couple political strap hangers that tried to get into the bunker and automatically try to insert themselves, and really they embarrassed themselves, and they were kicked out of that room. They didn't belong there, and they stood out like a sore thumb. And we don't need to name them, but
no.
They knew who they were.
And they still do. 24 hours inside the president's bunker, 9/11/01, the White House. Lieutenant Colonel Robert J. Darling, United States Marine Corps, retired. God bless you, Colonel. God damn. I'm in awe of what I've just heard, Fig. Holy shit.
It's going to be a while processing everything I just as well.
And I know there's a lot more to this. This is just scratching the surface.
And I get the privilege of telling this story, and lots of law enforcement and patriots who want to relive it and want to be reminded that what they do matters. And we've been safe for the last 23 years because of their efforts. So listen, I want to throw it right back at you, Fig and repeat. What you're doing today isn't just giving a guy like me an opportunity to talk. What you're doing and your listeners are doing is getting a refresher of why we're all called American. What is it going to be a patriot and to serve others and to be grateful for those that we serve. So I thank you both for, having your show and your podcast and inviting me to be a part of it, not just to relive our military time, but to remind everybody how grateful we are for the citizens that we serve in this country as well.
Well, thanks, Shyster. That's something coming from you.
Right? I mean, Fig and me just...
Look at that handsome Marine.
Handsome young Marine major. Wings on his chest and standing there next to the President of the United States. And being asked by the National Security Advisor, can I get you some water?
Yeah.
What can I do for you? But man, I'll tell you what, when you said that, it sent a chill up my spine. That's real leadership there. You let the experts do what the experts do, and don't micromanage them. Get them out of their way, back them up, clear the obstacles, and provide support.
Yeah.
That's
Amen.
impressive to hear. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually blank on what else to ask. I know there's more, and I'd love to have you back at some point in time just to talk more, flying stories, stupid shit you did in the airplane. And
Did you finish after that tour at HMX-1? Did you go back to a squadron? Did you go to school? What happened to you?
yeah, there you go.
It's interesting to say that because I thought I was going to extend at the White House. They wanted to make me a military aide after this experience for Vice President Cheney, but the Marine Corps said, hey, he's been there. He's got to get back and do Marine Corps stuff. But they sent me to Naval Postgraduate School, and I got an MBA in finance and financial management. Back to the Pentagon. I served 4 years at the Pentagon, and I retired in 2007 after my 20-and-a-half-year career.
Very nice. Very nice. So, did you do any flying at HMX-1?
So I transitioned to the 53 Echo when I first got there, and then eventually I got to the 60 and the H3, and I did presidential missions and lots of vice presidential missions. So, but instead of it being a 4-year tour for me, it was a 2.5 tour, and the other 1.5 to 2 years was up in airlift ops. Gotcha.
Okay, because when we had Duber on, he was talking about how you basically have your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year in that squadron.
Yeah.
But not making sure it all gets there or all gets loaded or all gets unloaded. Because I can't imagine the headaches. Although I can't imagine also with great power comes great responsibility. You got to be careful what you ask for when what you ask for is what you're going to get, because you put a lot of people out. A lot of people go to a lot of trouble to make sure you get what you want or need. But what was that like? Getting to, realizing all you had to do was ask for it, and it was like waving a magic wand.
Really empowering, and it was just. It's never an authority that we would abuse,
right?
But it's an authority level that you were so grateful that you had at that time. You need to get real things done. So it was great.
Right. Oh yeah. Ask what happened on 12th of September. Well, that's when you got back for the briefing, right? For the 8:00 briefing the next morning.
They had the 8:00 briefing, and then I went home for a day, and I was back in the office on the 13th. And it was just, get our nation prepared for war. The intelligence brief was all about Al-Qaeda. Where are they? Where's bin Laden? Phone intercepts, just as you can imagine. Lots of intel agencies doing overseas type important work, setting the groundwork for 350,000 troops to go halfway around the world.
Wow.
And there we went.
There we went.
Right. When was President Bush in the wreckage of the tower? When he said, the rest of the world is going to hear from us pretty soon. How soon was that? That was within a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about September the 23rd, about 10 days after, or 11 days after. And this was a great story too. We were watching; they were getting him prepared to go to New York. And they were worried about Marine One landing on the South Street Seaport. Is there any potential for vibrations that might affect some of those teetering buildings? The last optic they wanted was the president's landing, debris
knocking down another building.
Right. Yeah, and killing a firefighter. So they were worried about things on just down to the granular level. He wrote his speech, and he was nervous, right? The whole world's watching. And this speech was going to be about 20 minutes long about rah, rah, America. But when he got up there, he couldn't deliver it. There was no podium. He's on the pile, and he tries to just grab a bullhorn and say something, and they said, we can't hear you. And his 20-minute speech went down to about 33 seconds, the most powerful 33 seconds he's ever delivered when he said, "But I hear you, and the people that knock down these buildings are going to hear from all of us." It rallied the world, and it was just a moment in time that I'm sure he'll never forget, but the world, America, will never forget for sure.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. Yeah. And the people who knock down these towers are going to hear from us soon. Oh, man. And did you stay in Washington for that? I mean, it seems like your home plate was Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever travel with the president at that point?
On the backup airplane, sometimes when you're doing advance work, you'll go up there before him and make sure that's done. But during this time, I was still back at the White House when they flew him up to go give that speech.
And did he go all the way up on HMX-1, or did they take a jet?
They took a jet to JFK and flew him from JFK over to the South Street pad. Yeah.
Man.
But
I know.
President Bush is just like you, repeat. It's just like me. He gets nervous. He needs to be prepared. He studies. He goes to work every day trying to do a good job. This is a man who really put the time in to overcome any anxiety and to really do the best he can for all of us. We were proud to be that close to him and see him work as hard as he worked on behalf of all of us.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
What a unique perspective you had to see that from an angle that nobody gets to see.
Right? Not a lot of Marine majors running around chatting with the VP and the National Security Advisor,
answering phone calls from Putin.
Yeah.
You know what else really affected me is when Vice President Cheney was giving those orders, right? Those emotional orders to do that. His wife, Lynn, was down there. She wasn't at a table in the corner. She was standing right next to him, propping him up, whispering to him, do your job. Do what you need to do. You do what you think is right. Inspiring him or coaching him, going, I know this is hard. I know this is heavy. I know that what you're doing is emotional. Do your job. And watching that power couple, she lifted him up so he could get the country moving forward. It was a sight to see.
It goes back to where I talked. I don't know if we had talked about it before we opened the show or right after. It goes back to, again, the military wives who make this all possible. It isn't just the military member, the ones that hang in there for 33 years, like yours. It's because it's an incredible personality that it takes to be constantly in the shadows and support somebody who is doing something important, and realizing that that's something important wouldn't be getting done if you weren't there offering that support. It takes a special kind of person, and I'm deeply grateful to all the military spouses and then the sons and daughters who give up birthdays and that sort of thing to their parents who are out there doing important stuff to keep this thing moving forward. Interesting. Was there ever a thought in anybody's mind that, hey, the vice president can't do this?
I think it was whispered, but nobody was going to bring that up. At the time, it was America.
Mr. Vice President.
Hey, I hate to be a wet blanket here, but but it all came out, and then he came out later and said the president gave him the authority to do what he did. But just so your listeners know, that's not how presidential authority works. You don't give it away to your closest friend when you're not there.
Yeah.
It's not something that can be transferred without, the 25th Amendment.
Right. I'm going into surgery. It's yours for a few hours and I'll be back. Yeah. Wow.
But he did what had to be done. And right or wrong, we were really proud of Vice President Cheney.
That's fantastic to hear. Oh, man. Well, you know what I think we ought to do, Fig, is I think we ought to land this airplane. But as we always try to give an extra, and this is our first show this year, I'd like to do an extra. So for those folks who have lost all sense of judgment and what's right and what's wrong and throw money at us, hard-earned money to keep these shows coming to you, We're deeply grateful, and we're going to try to do an extra. And what I would like to ask of you, Shyster, is to spend 3 to 5 minutes with us and tell us about that fine call sign of yours, Shyster. How'd you get it?
I was so close. I was so close.
Yeah,
Hey,
there we go. So we'll land the airplane here. We'll do an extra, and only the people who are Patreon supporters and direct donors to our website will get a chance to hear how the Shyster became the Shyster. So.
Okay, very, very well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we got a couple other quick thank yous we got to get out. Dave Hamilton over at backbeatmedia.com handles all of our advertising for us, and we're deeply grateful to him. He also gave us the knowledge and the know-how to put this show together. We've got to thank Sticks and Bago, both of them here tonight helping produce the show. Sticks actually did some flying, one of the first few people flying after 9/11 as a Coast Guardsman flying guys down to the White House to help get the country back in the air again, as it were. Bago, a fine Marine, helping support us with production work in the background. We're deeply grateful. We see badass BDS Aviation Photography here tonight. We're grateful to all the folks who are supporting us. Fig, help me out here. What other thank yous have I forgotten here? Because I'm just trying to, I haven't written it down tonight. I'm just doing it off my head.
Dude, you're doing great. Keep going.
We got HSI Wealth Strategies, a sponsor tonight. We're deeply grateful to them. Hello Fresh is back. Yeah. So, and I expect we'll probably hear again from FTIratings.com and probably Robbins Bird Brain Designs. Seems to me there's just one or two other people I might be forgetting.
Well, we better say thank you to the Dos Gringos for letting us use their awesome music. That is the two Air Force F-16 pilots that make them sound good at the Air Force, that is. Dos Gringos.
They could have joined the military, but they joined the Air Force instead.
Exactly. That's down the hall. Down the hall.
It's down the hall.
They're down the hall.
Might be a good fit.
Right. Hey, go to StereoWows.us/rate. Give us a 5-star rating. If this show doesn't give us a 5-star rating, you have lost your damn mind. Go do it right now. And while you're at it, share the show.
Yeah,
Tell a friend. No, doesn't at all. So, I don't know, Fig. What do you think? Oh, the merch store, real quick. StereoWows.us/merch. Go get yourself a bikini before spring rolls around. Get that body into bikini shape. Get yourself a bikini. Get yourself a beach towel, or a coffee mug, or a hat, or a shirt, a hoodie. The hoodies are warm this time of year. Love mine. Yeah.
Shot glass.
Yeah. In the meantime, I don't know. Helicopter pilot here with us tonight. All I can say is, don't sit on the collective.
Don't sit on the floor. Don't do that.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Hold on. It's what, Fig?
He said it's over.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah, we're